So right now we are looking at Ryan Sedzo's recent House map. Ryan is a multi-time winner in the Draw the Lines competitions that we've done on Congressional, State House, and State Senate. This is one of his State House maps that he did. We are going to turn it over to Ryan, and he's going to give us a quick summary on what he was trying to accomplish, and then we'll go around the state and hear how he did in different parts of the Commonwealth. So Ryan, thanks for drawing the map and joining us tonight.
All right, thanks. So my main goal in this map was for minimizing splits, and then a secondary goal was compactness. So in the end, the main idea was to pretty much have as the least number of splits as I could while also maintaining nice compact districts. In some areas, especially like Allegheny County, I tried to focus on mapping using the rivers as natural boundaries, because I felt that the rivers made really nice natural boundaries in terms of where you would try and draw districts. In the Philadelphia area, well, I think I used the one river as that I also use as a natural boundary for my map, and so that's pretty much the main overview.
Let's stay right where we're at now, and let's go to Anna, another one of our expert mappers, champion mappers from Draw the Lines. Ann, what do you think of the Philly area?
So first of all, Philly looks really clean right now. Like you've got like you said, very nice compact districts. And I think it looks like you did do a pretty good job of keeping the ward splits down, which is also nice because that is one of the state constitutional criteria. One thing that is becoming more and more important in Philadelphia is Hispanic representation, particularly in this kind of sort of north central Philadelphia that's almost in the middle of the map here, like 125, 126, whatever that neon green district is. Yeah, so you can see like 127 is it really gets kind of the bulk of that district. The problem is it's almost packing the Hispanic community by doing that. And you kind of have these other three little projections into 125, 126, and then whatever that one is to the west. And so that one might be a case where you might want to actually just kind of more cleanly divide that community into like two districts.
Okay, yeah.
As opposed to having, it kind of like one big district that's most of it and then three little pieces in other districts. And then there's a similar choice down around Chinatown. If you switch to Asian population. Yeah, so between 132 and 128, that's basically Chinatown that you just kind of cut right in half there. So I might like tweak lines in that area a little bit too.
And go north. So we've got Alex Duffy on as well. Alex is a student at Abington Heights High School and one of our most recent competition winners. And so Alex, what do you think of how this map looked in your neck of the woods?
I am living in what would be District 80. That goes down into Luzerne County to Pittston. That seems all right.
Looks like, is this one split Scranton here?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I have an idea. Maybe we could bring the top of that district to that 78. It looks like, yeah. We could shave some off that and bring that down a bit further to Taylor, which is just above Old Forge there. Because I feel like that's all similar.
Now we're going to head back, check on how Lancaster and Chester County look with Michael Scrose. Michael's a multi-time winner with Draw the Lines as well. You've done a fair amount of legislative mapping too over the last few months.
Yeah, so one of my biggest pet peeves with the existing map that's in place is for Chester County, most of the districts run north to south, and like some of them go across like half the county, and there's just no point to that. So this map does an excellent job at keeping all the districts really compact, which I appreciate. For District 190, the southern edge, it's like a perfectly straight line, and it is parallel to Route 30, I believe, which is how I've drawn all my maps. It looks beautiful. The one thing is that it does split Coatesville from South Coatesville. So South Coatesville is really tiny, but it's located south of Route 30. Yeah, so it's that little area. And then over in Lancaster County, similar story. Keeping the rural areas because there's a pretty sharp rural urban divide in the county. For Lancaster City, it can be split up. I believe this map does put portions of the city into the neighboring districts, which I think is necessary with the population of the city. The one advantage of doing it the way you did the districts that are surrounding the city of Lancaster are slightly competitive.
And let's bring in Logan Ford. Logan is one of our a multi-time winner, and so he's done a number of these maps himself. A graduate of Mercyhurst College in Erie, and so Logan, you spent a lot of time there. How does this map look?
Ryan, why did you kind of split the west from the east? I know you said you're from Erie too, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a tough decision there, whether I wanted to take some of the eastern side of Erie and throw it in with that District 1 area, or if I wanted to split it into 2 districts and then keep more of the city together in 2 districts.
I'm noticing like where our representatives' districts are now, and something that we probably will have to acknowledge is, you know, where the current incumbents are. But as far as the layout, I think it makes sense. I think Mill Creek altogether makes sense. And I think having the southern part of the county kind of go down into the next districts in Crawford, that makes sense. Having Corey over there by itself, it makes more sense than trying to connect it all the way to the border with Ohio.
I don't like how I brought District 5 all the way down to Mercer. I wish I kind of threw that southern part of District 5 and had it more into Crawford.
Hi, my name is Lauren Van. I'm a member of the Citizen Map Corps with Draw the Lines PA, and I'm here to give a bit of Butler perspective on the house map that we're submitting to the LRC. The southern few blocks of Butler County are divided off into their own house region. I would say that that's a good idea because the southern portion of the county tends to be a bit more metropolitan compared to the rest of Butler County. It's a bit closer to Allegheny County, and there's where you're going to see like your Cranberry Township type areas. My only issue with this map really comes up around Butler City, right in the center of the map. You're going to see that Butler City itself is preserved, but Butler Township is split.
All right, we're going to go to the southwestern part of Pennsylvania and look at the Washington Green Fayette area, Allegheny County. And so we're going to bring in Christian Sessick, who was a Draw the Lines winner last year.
I think there are a few municipal splits looking at that district between the 58th and the Greene County district in the corner there. Trying to minimize that would be ideal, especially since I grew up in Brownsville. Was trying to cluster close to school districts and communities of interest, I think would be very important. But the district ultimately doesn't look too different from the current one. But one positive thing about this map is that the clusters of communities are close together. You don't really see communities pulled from one side of a county to another. You don't see weird squiggles. You don't see gerrymanders for sure. Allegheny, I think, looks pretty good in terms of what they've accomplished there. And again, keeping communities closer together. One point of note is that Beaver County, I believe, is split between 4 separate legislative districts in this map. I don't know that Beaver would need to be split 4 separate ways. It's always exciting to see where a district could be, as it is in Armstrong County, just an entire county. As a district, I think that, you know, if you can avoid splitting and you can avoid cutting up counties where it's not necessary, I think it's very important to do so.
So I drew this map. The initial version, it had every district under 250 population. Deviation, that is, so no more or no less than 250 people. There are some sacrifices that have to be made, but I mean, in terms of like the rest of the state, since I'm from the northeast part of the state, Luzerne County, I try to minimize splits of counties where possible, but not every county has enough people, so it's kind of tough especially with the northern parts of the state, where it's very depopulated, I guess you could say, like Potter County in the top middle, and even Luzerne County has to be split to a degree. So it's just kind of a bunch of trade-offs. But I mean, and in the initial map that I drew, I mean, you know, you could definitely go wider than 250 like I did, even like to keep like communities of interest together or other things like that.
Could you zoom into the city of Philadelphia? Because I think that's one of the things that we have some managing any of the big cities, you know, is always a challenge or around a bigger city. And So yeah, so I think we try hard to have whole districts within the city and maybe have one district bleed in or bleed out. So, here we have, all three bordering districts is bleeding over. But otherwise, yeah, no, those are good and compact. There's some right where your hand is right now in the middle of the 40th is there's some interest by some because there's a Hispanic community to the east of Broad Street, which is that big line that goes north-south. Yeah, it's right where Justin is there. So some people pay attention to that as a community of interest.
Now let's go up into Montgomery County and throughout the rest of Southeast. Mike.
Well, I obviously the districts are pretty compact. That's fine. I just looked at all the districts in the Southeast and just sort of added them up just to see how much extra population they had. And there's a lot of extra population in these districts now.
It might be I wonder if Reading is split. That might be something that people would.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that. Yeah.
Right. So this would be something that.
Oh yeah, right.
Second swing through.
There's Mike from Pike here. Looks like Will was working his way up from the Lehigh Valley, and he had some leftover precincts in Northampton County. So he did the sensible thing with those. He combined them with Monroe County and Carbon as well. And that district is fine. From my point of view up in Pike County, though, it does leave the rest of the region kind of out in the cold. We end up in a collar district wrapped around Scranton that is reminiscent of the current heavily gerrymandered 20th. Will's version is much more compact, much cleaner, but it does share some of those problems of being non-compact and combining communities that have very little in common. Also looks like Will has a combined Scranton-Wilkesboro district right in the middle of the region, and that's fine too. I mean, that's a well-defined metro area. Scranton and Wilkesboro share an airport, they share a ballpark. I've even got the old mascot here on my cap, but it does lead to dividing Lackawanna County and splitting both cities off from some of their satellite communities, so that's not great. From my point of view, the Northeast is pretty simple. On the Senate map, you can have a well-defined Wyoming Valley district in Luzerne County, starting with Wilkesboro and extending southwest toward Hazleton. You can have a good solid Lackawanna County district anchored on Scranton with some of its outlying areas, and then a good solid Pocono district with Pike and Monroe counties together.
All right, and so now we're going to go to the central part of Pennsylvania, and we've got Jesse Stoll here. Jesse's from Dauphin County. He is a multiple-time Draw the Lines winner as well. What are your thoughts?
One of them is that the districts are fairly compact, and that's great. So that's positive feedback that they aren't distorted shapes. And with that there's a big effort to not split counties very much. The other feedback I had is that I noticed that large municipalities are split a lot. So that had me concerned because these larger cities tend to be where the most minorities live in the city. So I noticed my own city in Harrisburg, in my neighborhood, is put off with the rest of Cumberland County, while the rest of Harrisburg is in a different district. Same with York. York is also split. But if instead you start with those larger cities as a central focal point of the district, you can build more small boroughs and townships around it without splitting the population nearly as much, and making sure that the places that have a bigger sense of community and have the largest number of people are held together.
I really like how this one, as opposed to the current map, has more of Erie County. The current map kind of slices off the entire southern portion. And I think that might have made sense 10 years ago, but with the population decline, we can get more of Erie County in there. I think that we do have to break it up a little bit, but I think that it makes sense in this map because people of Corey probably have less in common with the people of Erie than, say, down in Meadville areas. So that makes sense. In Venango, I think we are using the Allegheny River as a natural border. And I know in a lot of maps, talking to people from other parts of the state, whether it was down in Pittsburgh where we have all the natural boundaries with the rivers, or even over in Philadelphia, those natural resources, those natural boundaries just sort of make logical sense. And the people that live there agree, and they sort of identify as, the north side of the river, the south side of the river.
So I'm from Butler County. So if you look at the Butler County region on this map, you're going to see that Butler County itself is lumped in with Armstrong. I personally think that that's a very good idea. I would say that the people of Butler County and Armstrong County have shared values and could be considered to be a community of interest. Similarly, if you look at the Senate district that is next to Butler in the Lawrence County and Beaver areas, again, I would say that that's another good lumping in of two communities that have a very much shared interest. As you get more down towards the Allegheny region, perhaps that strays a bit, but if we're looking at preserving county and like minimizing county splits, I would say that, those are two counties that are, again, good to lump together.
Okay, and next we're going to go to the Pittsburgh area, Allegheny County, and Southwestern PA. And so we have Christian Sesek.
Here you see Washington County completely intact. And I think that that's important. The same with Greene. And I actually, the reason I bring up that I'm from Brownsville is that I noticed the borough of Brownsville in Fayette County actually is in the 11th district. And it looks like the borough and the township, as well as Newell in Fayette County. And I would support a decision doing something like that because Brownsville is a Mon Valley community. And what you have there are communities across the river like California, Charleroi, Monongahela, that have very similar situations like that of Brownsville. They're dealing with blight, they're dealing with problems like that. And I'm very pro keeping communities of interest together. So I think that the 11th district does a really good job of that. If Beaver and Lawrence could continue to be one Senate district, that is truly a 50-50 competitive result. And I think that would really, I think that Beaver County, if I'm not mistaken, is split between two districts currently. I think that the 46th kind of hooks up in there. And I think that the other district spans into Butler, and it's the same with Butler and Armstrong. I think that if you're keeping whole counties intact, it's a lot better than splitting up the results